Nigeria to invest $460 million World Bank loan in fiber infrastructure. Ahead of 2026 World Economic Forum, federal government unveils Nigeria House endeavors to spotlight economic reforms. Heritage Bank liquidation, NDIC recovers additional 24.3 billion naira for depositors. Oil steady, investors weigh Venezuela export resumption versus potential Iran supply disruption. Asia-Pacific markets rise after key Wall Street indices ended last week on record highs. Welcome to Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar, your guide. Let's begin with infrastructure. Nigeria plans to channel $460 million, representing about 92% of a $500 million World Bank loan, into the capitalization of a proposed fiber infrastructure company set up to deploy 90,000 kilometers of climate-resilient broadband fiber across the country. This is contained in the financing agreement for the Building Resilient Digital Infrastructure for Growth project between the federal government and the International Development Association, the concessional lending arm of the World Bank. Under the agreement, the World Bank approved a $500 million concessional credit to support Nigeria's drive to expand access to high-quality and climate-resilient broadband internet in unserved and underserved areas. Of this amount, $460 million is earmarked specifically for equity financing and capitalization of a new project company that will drive the fiber rollout. The remaining $40 million will cover goods, works, consulting and non-consulting services, training, operating costs, and the refund of preparation advance used to develop the project framework. The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, has recovered an additional 24.3 billion naira from the assets of the defunct Heritage Bank Limited to facilitate the repayment of depositors with balances exceeding 5 million naira at the time the bank's license was revoked. This was disclosed in a statement by the Head Communication and Public Affairs Department of NDIC, Hawa Gambo. The Central Bank of Nigeria revoked the operating license of Heritage Bank on June 3, 2024, and appointed the NDIC as liquidator in line with Section 12, Subsection 2 of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020 and Sections 55, Subsection 1 and 2 of the NDIC Act 2023. According to the statement, the recovered funds were derived from debt recovery, the sale of physical assets, the realization of investments. The funds will be applied to the payment of uninsured balances belonging to depositors with amounts above the 5 million naira insured limit. And the currency, how much is the naira exchanging for other currencies? Let's take a look. Now, the federal government has established Nigeria House Davos ahead of the 56th Annual World Economic Forum 2026 to showcase Nigeria's economic reforms and attract investors. This is contained in a statement issued by Director of Information and Public Relations, State House, Abuja, Abiodun Oladunjoy. Nigeria House Davos marks Nigeria's first official national house on the Davos Promenade. The initiative provides a strategic platform to project Nigeria's economic reforms, investment readiness, institutional strength, and cultural identity to global stakeholders. It is designed to boost foreign direct investment, deepen strategic partnerships, and advance Nigeria's global economic positioning under the Renewed Hope agenda. Nigeria House Davos is structured under a public-private partnership framework involving relevant ministries and private sector partners. Nigeria House Davos will serve as a sovereign convening platform for ministerial engagements, policy dialogues, in investment meetings, and cultural diplomacy. The World Economic Forum 2026 meeting is scheduled to hold from January 19 to January 23rd in Davos, Switzerland. Now, to assess how this will position Nigeria and itself as a reform-driven investment destination is an investment analyst, Dr. Nia Kisijo. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, why does Nigeria need a Davos House to actually showcase itself to the world? It's not as if Davos, with the World Economic Forum, it's a new platform. We've been there several times, a lot of times, in fact, every year.
Yeah, well, I think the whole idea is to create a new ground and, of course, leverage on that meeting. Of course, as you know, that every year, global sovereigns and global business leaders across the world are taking the Davos meeting, the Davos annual meeting, as a serious gathering of global leaders. So, any serious-minded sovereign, would want to leverage that meeting in such a way that is not just a passing phase, because what we have seen over the years is that you see Nigerian delegations usually led by the president at the head of the delegation, going to address or sometimes just being participant at the meeting, and you get to hear of side meetings, as the main meeting goes on. And these side meetings are usually held in hotel lobbies, in hotel rooms and all that. If we are serious-minded, we would also note that is not exactly a communication, an appropriate business-minded, serious communication to the outside world. Now, I think this is what necessitated the Davos building, as it were, because this is a brand Nigeria house, and of course, it also talks to the permanence, of the kind of engagement Nigeria is looking for. Now, we're talking about foreign direct investment. Let us first relate, the quantum of funds that are coming into the Nigerian sphere through our foreign direct investment compared to foreign portfolio investment. In 2025, we had close to $12 billion coming into the country through foreign portfolio investment. And of course, you understand the fact that foreign portfolio investment, other name is hot money. Hot money translates to the fact that at the trigger of anything within the shortest possible period, hot money finds itself out of that jurisdiction where it's no longer comfortable. But a foreign direct investment, in other words, called equity investment, when it comes into a jurisdiction, it sits in that jurisdiction to produce and, of course, to create prosperity. And in creating prosperity also creates jobs and all that. Okay. So it's a long-term kind of fund. So to get that kind of fund into the system, you need to have a place where people will properly engage, get information, get data, and of course analyze this data to be able to find, to come to an investment decision to either come into Nigeria or not.
The other emerging markets like India, Saudi Arabia, South Africa have established such houses in Davos over the years. Any lessons as to the impact of such initiative?
Well, it's obvious. We know what the volume and the quantum of foreign direct investment that had added into Saudi Arabia, into India. Today, India is said to be the third largest economy, beating Japan. About some weeks ago, as announced. It's also a direct impact of foreign direct investment. Everybody who understands the basis of economy anywhere in the world understands the effect and the impact of foreign direct investment. But you can look at the Nigerian scenario over the past so many years. How do we even get foreigners, global operators, even Nigerians in diaspora, properly engage and, of course, attract them into the Nigerian sphere? The truth of the matter is, even our embassies and high commissions across the world have not been properly upgraded to be able, of course, to attract engagement in the different and respective countries in which they operate. So, but the latest news we have is that in the latest budget 2026, the federal government had also committed up to 40-something billion naira, to upgrade and furnish our embassies and high commissions across the world. Now, that is also enabling capacity for engagement. People who have heard about Nigeria would want to approach Nigeria in those areas.
But there is no particular figure that link this particular having a Davos house to, more direct investment in these countries I've mentioned. Is there any empirical evidence that
to show that what is expected?
House, in Davos, that's the World Economic Forum, you definitely get to attract more foreign investment.
No, you can look at the commitment, foreign investment commitment over the years.
Or is it something that they are trying beyond the handshake we've seen in the past and the signing of the memorandum of understanding to somehow get investors to commit on the pledges they make there?
It's even to further that, because what we have been having are just engagement of the moment. You have the Davos meeting held in 4 days, and in those 4 days there are rushes of activities. And after that, you really don't know what would happen, But when you have a permanent place that facilitates engagement, between your target audience, as it were, global leaders and global business people, and they are able to know at what point in time, at any point in time, where they can go to for follow-up information or for follow-up activation. So this is actually having the Nigerian sovereign presence in Davos throughout the year. It goes beyond just that 4 or 5 days of engagement. And of course, it also becomes a major center of engagement for all manner of global investors that may want to get immediate, reliable, and credible investment data. So for me, I think this should be celebrated, especially because it concerns the fact that we should be able, through this strategy, attract more foreign direct investment into the country. And we are in dire need of foreign direct investment. So
now there are a list of things that ranges from solid minerals to the creative economy, which of these sectors is mostly likely to see a kind of an immediate boost from this level of global exposure.
It is. Beyond the sectors, perhaps the most important thing Nigeria is selling now is the economic reforms ongoing. because an investor wants to look at the economic environment, which leads to the enablement of business. So it's not just about sectors, possibilities, and potentialities. It is the policy, positions and the policy, the policy responsibilities in that sphere. So now Nigeria has a whole lot of policy engagement and policy trust to talk about and to sell. The fact that we are being driven, we are now driving our markets, as an open market, as a demand supply push market. It's a communication to the outside world.
So now
we have a tax law, that is also, we have a new tax law that reformed our historical limitations in our taxation system. It is something to be sold. Don't also forget that for the first time we have also aligned with global, tax minimum tax responsibility. So there are exact things, there are exact incentives Nigeria is ready to sell to the world, to attract investors across the globe into the country. Beyond the
Doctor, before I let
potentialities
you
in
go,
other sectors.
how do you link our ease of doing business to this particular strategy of showcasing Nigeria? Because right now, when you look at our ease of doing business, most especially when you look at the ranking, we're around 131, I guess. The last time I checked, out of 180 countries, I think. So how do you link this to actually promoting Nigeria as an investment destination?
The first consideration for any investor is ease of entry, an economic sphere, and ease of exit. And that talks
Do we have it?
Yeah, we have it. Now, for the first time, you can access your foreign exchange, at any point in time. Once you register your foreign exchange into the country inflow, you will be able to take it out at any point in time you are leaving the country. So that is a very, very important requirement of ease of doing business. And then again, what's the threshold for securing licenses? That is also ease of doing business. And then, of course, taxation is a major part of ease of doing businesses. Are you sure of the range of taxation? Are you sure of the clarity of taxation? To what extent would your income, especially profit of multinational companies, to what extent would it, be taxed? By what percentage? These are policies that help in ease of doing business. So when these are clear, as we now have them, we know in Nigeria now that if you are a company, either foreign or domestic, operating below $750 million or 50 billion naira equivalent, as it were, you will pay. Your taxation is 30%. Now, before it used to be an aggregate of 36%. When you start adding up all manners of sub taxation, tertiary education levy, that other levy, that other Naseni levy, NDTI levy, and all that. That came by itself to 6%, and that is huge. But now you have seen that there's a streamline.
I'm afraid, Doctor, we have to end it there.
All right, thank you.
It's a continuous conversation. We definitely have time to get to revisit some of these issues. Thank you very much, Dr. Nia Kisiju. It's always been a pleasure having you in the program.
Pleasure here too. Thanks so much.
Now let's head to the commodities market, where gold rose over 1% to hit its first record high of 2026 on Monday. Let's take a trip to the commodities market. Traded activity on the Nigerian exchange at GX moderated last week as total turnover declined sharply. Even as strong price appreciation across equities lifted market capitalization to a new high of 103.78 trillion naira. Let's now join Olayin Kaujo for details.
The NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 3.71% to close the week at 162,298.08 basis points and 103.776 trillion naira. A total turnover of 4.164 billion shares worth 94.026 billion naira in 248,254 deals were traded by investors on the floor of the exchange. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 2.651 billion shares valued at 35.957 billion naira in 93,706 deals. The services industry followed with 369.963 million shares worth 3.383 billion naira in 16,521 deals, while the third place, the ICT industry, had a turnover of 297.938 million shares worth 5.727 billion naira in 21,548 deals. Trading in the top three equities, Universal Insurance, Linkage Assurance and Access Holdings PLC accounted for 1.261 billion shares worth 5.060 billion naira in 13,819 deals, contributing 30.28% and 5.38% to the total equity turnover in volume and value. A total of 604,668 units of exchange-traded products valued at 138.521 million naira were traded in 1,480 deals. For bonds, a total of 93,348 units valued at 94.735 million naira were traded in 24 deals. On summary of price changes, 84 equities appreciated in price during the week, 22 equities depreciated, while 42 equities were unchanged. Olayin Kaujo for Business Express.
Asia Pacific markets rise after key Wall Street indices ended last week on record highs. Maria Zakari is standing by for details. Maria, is over to you.
Thank you, Musa. European stocks kicked off the new trading week in green as investors keep an eye on rising geopolitical tensions and Iran. DAX was higher by 0.46%. FTSE of the UK follows at 0.07%. And we have in red the CAC of France at 0.09%. Across Asia, markets mostly traded higher even as oil remained in focus, with protests in Iran entering a third week. Japanese markets were closed for a public holiday. The Nikkei 225 was up 1.61%. Shanghai Composite of mainland China was higher at 1.09% at 4,165. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index gained 1.44% at 26,608. U.S. markets in early trading have bank stocks leading the losses, with Citigroup shares sliding about 4% alongside renewed pressure on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The Dow was down 0.68%. We have S&P 500 following at 0.54%. Nasdaq Composite reflects at 0.75%. Over to Africa, we have the markets which are in mixed territory. We have South Africa JSE Top 40, which jumped 1.39%. Tunisia Index mirrors the number at 0.3736%. And we have Ghana also up 0.23%. On the opposing side, we have Kenya down 0.11% and Namibia also following at 0.38%. That's global market for Monday afternoon. I am Maria Adozaka. It's back to Musa.
Well, thank you, Mario, for that update. This is where we end Business Express for today. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTS channel. Business Express returns on Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. I am Musa Al-Bakar. Thanks for your company.